right, what's going on, everybody? This is JT here with the Buck Ball Podcast. I'm here with my friend Jamison Lee. Went to high school with him. Jamison, I'm going to go ahead and let you talk to the people. What you played in high school, where you played in college, and what you do now.
All right. For those of you out there listening to the podcast that aren't direct friends of ours, I played offensive line my whole life. Graduated from Lake Gibson High School with JT, and I played offensive and defensive line there. Was an all-county player. Went on to play at Jacksonville University, actually playing defensive line, and then currently getting into the coaching ranks, trying to do a little bit of personal training, but really my specialty is lineman. So I'm an avid Bucs fan, man. I've been a Bucs fan my whole life, and I'm excited to be here on the podcast with JT. So let's get it started.
Hey, didn't you guys win a championship there at Jacksonville State?
I did.
Oh, so it's a real one. It's not like UCF.
No, it was real.
You got a real ring and everything. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
UCF got some real rings, man. I seen them. That thing is nice. That thing is over the top. My ring wasn't as nice, but we were actually legitimate champions. So it makes up for it.
But what's behind it is real. Okay. Yeah, Scott Frost actually said now that he's in Nebraska, he can kind of say, from afar, he was saying that I don't think I could get behind the whole fake championship or we're the national champions. Like, okay, you beat Auburn, I give him that, but even he is like, let's calm down, But let's go ahead and get started into it though. So, obviously, being Florida State fans or not being Florida State fans, I wanted them to pick Derwin James just for the simple fact that what he can bring to the secondary, leadership. I know he didn't have the ball production. I mean, he did miss a whole year, pretty much. But they end up trading back and taking Vita Vea. What do you think about that? What do you honestly think?
I like Vita as a player. I really do. I mean, he's a run stopper. He's going to be a cog in the middle. He's gonna really take up a lot of that room inside and kind of free up Gerald McCoy, who takes on a lot of double teams. I mean, the guy is a freak. He's a run stuffer. Mm-hmm. But with all that being said, Bucs had the worst pass defense in the NFL last year in almost every statistical category. Mm-hmm. And you got a freak safety on the board with Derwin James. You trade back, he's still available.
Not to mention his underrated blitzer.
Yes, not to mention Derwin James can play he can line up at any position on the field. Mm-hmm. Florida State, he lined up at linebacker. Yep. He lined up sometimes even as a pass rusher on the outside.
Right.
He had some sacks.
He played that star position, kind of like what Marcus Joyner did. Yeah.
Knocking down passes on the outside. So I mean, if you haven't seen the GIF yet, he destroyed an offensive tackle for Florida a couple years ago. Rushing the passer.
Oh, definitely.
So, I mean, I felt like that was a guy who was a can't-miss type of guy who would fill a solid spot in secondary for
and he would hold everybody
10 years.
And he would hold everybody in the secondary accountable, which is something the Bucs coaches don't seem to do. We're going to get into that later on in the show with Vernon Hargraves. But with Vea, some notes I wrote down. Gerald is 30. He's been on the field for 76% of the snaps last year. That's a lot. And the reason why they took Vea is not because he's just a nose tackle. It's because he's so athletic. They think he can play 3 tech, just in case, if he has to fill in or whatever. Behind him, there's only Stevie Tuikolovatu. You got Bo Allen. Mitch Unrein can play some defensive tackle. But I think the real pressure that we're going to have is going to be coming from JPP and Vinny Curry. And also, you can't forget Noah Spence. And another thing they're saying about this dude is Danny Shelton. No. He's not Danny Shelton. Nowhere close. He's bigger. He's more athletic. His sack production isn't there, but I mean that doesn't mean that it can't come. Especially if you put him with Brinson Buckner, who's been known to get production out of really, really big defensive tackles. In his career, he had 15 tackles for loss and 65 total tackles, only 9.5 sacks. I mean, that's not great production, but if you think about it, he was more of just a nose tackle and not a 3 technique.
Yeah, I mean, you can see they obviously made a conscious effort to address the defensive line the whole offseason. I mean, to me, Vinny Curry, that's a great addition to the offensive line. Really getting some depth. I mean, last year we had Noah Spence coming off the edge, but there was really no depth at pass rusher. So now you got Spence, you got Curry, you got JPP, and then you drafted a defensive lineman in the first round.
Right.
Really kind of trying to solidify the defensive line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would have liked them to address the secondary more. But you see what they're doing, and we'll get to some of these guys a little bit later on. You know, taking 2 cornerbacks and a safety to kind of try to make up for it, and still kind of try to solidify that secondary.
Yeah, I think, you know, well, we'll get down to the secondary later. We'll kind of do this as it went. But to me, no, we'll go ahead and start it now. Screw it. Carlton Davis is the polar opposite of what our defense does. Our defense plays way off the ball, and Mike Smith wants to keep everything in front of him. Carlton Davis is one who likes to be in the guy's face at all times, give him no breathing room. And I had somebody say, you know, Vernon did play press when he played good when he played press during the year, but he didn't play it often. And like, I think it was like one game, it was a Vikings game, it was 3rd and 2, he's 12 yards off the ball. That can't happen. And that makes the coaching staff look bad. That doesn't just make Vernon Hargreaves look bad. Carlton Davis, if they drafted him to play what he's playing in college, the Bucs are going to play a lot more heavy man coverage. And then you add in how good our defensive line can be. I mean, I'm excited to see it. Now, another thing is MJ Stewart. This guy is either going to play slot or safety. Now, Justin Evans, I think, has a free safety spot locked up. So that means MJ Stewart would either play nickel or be a backup. Now, if Carlton Davis comes in and beats out Vernon Hargreaves, Vernon's going to move to the middle also, which I think he can play great there. What do you think about
MJ
that?
Stewart, he was really an interesting pick to me because it's like he's a nickel corner guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great run support guy.
Right.
He's a man-to-man guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, you know, you picked Vernon Hargreaves last year,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're picking another nickel corner guy.
Yeah.
Which Vernon Hargreaves didn't play well on the outside.
No.
Part of that had to do with he's a man-to-man cornerback.
Yeah, he is.
He is a man-to-man press guy. He's not really his own guy.
He doesn't read and react as fast. And people say, oh, Brent Grimes get beat too, but Brent Grimes has more production, and he reads and reacts a lot better than Vernon does.
MJ Stewart is a tackling machine,
Mm-hmm.
and he plays that nickel corner so well, kind of containing some of that outside run.
Right.
He can do punt returns. He can do kick returns. Not an electrifying returner, but solid guy. He catches the ball. He gets upfield. He's just one of those scrappy guys. He doesn't have a lot of size, but he's scrappy, man. He'll stick his nose in there and make a play and make some tackles, which really, I mean, it's not something you see. You know, Brent Grimes isn't really a great tackler. He used to be really good, but let's be honest, man. Brent Grimes is 34.
Yeah.
Basically, in cornerback years, he's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only got a couple years in the league left in him.
Yeah.
You know, his prime years are gone. Basically, the Bucs seem like they're playing to his strength.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Which, because he can't play man to man.
Yeah, he
doesn't have the makeup speed.
He's more the backpedaler, read and react guy.
So, you know, I think it's great to see that they could be transitioning into this more man-to-man style by drafting these guys, Carlton Davis, MJ Stewart, and having Hargreaves, who it'll be interesting to see how they play Hargreaves and Stewart, because they're kind of guys who play similar roles.
Yeah, plus you got Javian Elliott there that didn't play too bad either. But I mean, if it came down to it, him beating him out, you know, who knows? But I mean, also you got to think, if Brent Grimes is on his last leg, Carlton Davis and Vernon Hargreaves can still both play outside. I mean, Vernon's still very, very young. He's very gifted. When he does play man-to-man, that's when he plays his best ball. If you do go back and watch Florida tape, which I did, whenever he is man-to-man, he's just as quick and he's just as physical, and he knows exactly when to turn his head around to put his hands on the ball. Now, when he's playing off, that's when he's not reading and reacting. And I keep saying read and react because he's just not that good at it.
Yeah, to me, and I mean, I've watched these guys I'm a Florida State guy, obviously, but Vernon Hargreaves is similar to Janoris Jenkins. I mean, they both kind of play the same style.
Yep. High risk, high reward.
High risk, high reward. Zone is just not their thing. They're athletic. They're man-to-man guys, and I just felt like he wasn't really comfortable in the scheme last year. So, I mean, it'd be kind of interesting to see what they do at safety. I mean, we haven't got into the safety they picked from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Jordan Whitehead.
But MJ Stewart, he can play a little bit of safety too. He doesn't really have the
I don't
prototypical
see
size.
I don't see him as strong safety-ish, but I can see him playing in like a big package or whatever.
Right. Yeah. He's a guy that can move around a little bit. I mean, he's no Derwin James, but he's got a little bit of versatility.
Now with Jordan Whitehead, I talked to the guy about him. I'm gonna talk about that later on in the show whenever I get home tonight because it's all in emails. But with Jordan Whitehead, the guy was telling me pretty much he was playing offense and defense when he first got there. And he actually did have a couple suspensions, with violation of team rules and things like that. That might have been why he fell. But he's more of that Derwin James play up on the line, kind of all over the field kind of guy. He uses his athleticism more than I want to say maybe he doesn't have the ball skills yet. But I mean, for a strong safety, ball skills it's kind of important. It's kind of not because you're playing so close to the line of scrimmage. You know, you're just kind of making sure the tight end covering him, covering the seams, things like that.
Yeah, and as a guy who really, I mean, he came in basically as a running back at Pittsburgh, and he even played in packages. He did take some carries even when he was a full-time safety. So, I mean, even as a safety, he's still learning. I think his ball skills can definitely improve.
Oh yeah, well you add him with NFL coaching,
So
the
we'll
sky's the
see.
limit.
We'll see where it goes with that. But I mean, at that point in the draft, I feel like it was a solid pick to kind of get another good.
Well, it was a
body on the
need. It
secondary.
was a need. So you kind of, I mean, Jason Light really turned. Even though the Vita Vea pick was kind of not really a head scratcher. It was kind of a luxury pick if you really think about it. But I mean, it made sense on some levels. But really, if you think about what he did, he went from a 7 to 12 and turned basically a first round pick into 2 second rounders. He had 6 picks in the top 100 pretty much. I mean, you can't really blame him for wheeling and dealing with that.
Absolutely, getting that pick back that they lost in the JPP trade.
Yes, and a lot of people are saying that Jason is not gonna stand by and only have a first round pick, a second round pick, and that's it. And not gonna pick into the fourth. No, we have too many needs for him to do that. So I want to talk about the offensive line. What do you think about the additions of Ryan Jensen and Ali Marpet moving to left guard? For some reason, I don't know why they're not keeping him at right. That's where he seems more natural. Maybe they want to move him towards Donovan Smith because I mean they're buddies. I mean they get along. Maybe it's a chemistry thing. How was it with you playing O-line?
Honestly, I mean to me, right and left side to an offensive lineman doesn't make a lot of difference. At guard, at least, tackle is a whole world of difference.
Right.
But I think what they might be trying to do is Alex Kappa's going to come in.
He's 6'7".
He's 6'7". He's going to play right tackle.
Yeah, eventually. DeMar Dotson has only played two 16-game seasons since he's been with the Bucs since 2009.
And he just had surgery in the offseason. So, I mean, he's going to be a depth guy there, but I really think Alex Kappa eventually is going to end up taking that starting job.
Yeah, but that just means they're banking on Sweezy or Caleb Benenoch, which Caleb Benenoch, the sample size isn't strong enough for me to say he's the legit, starter or whatever. But I mean, if you look at it from the left side or the right side, however you want to put it, if it's Smith, Marpet, Jensen, whoever, and then maybe Kappa or Dotson, I still think over last year that's a hell of a upgrade.
Probably. Oh yeah.
Hell of a upgrade.
Absolutely. Getting Jensen at center and being able to move Marpet back to guard was a big one right there. Because I mean, he was a good center, honestly.
Right.
But he is a very solid guard. It's good to bring in another guy so we can get him and Kappa on the same side are going to be road graders in the run game.
Yep.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, Kappa he's solid in pass protection.
Yep.
We haven't seen him against elite talent.
No.
Because he comes from a small school.
He was blocking really good against Marcus Davenport in the Senior Bowl.
Oh yeah, good performance at the Senior Bowl. I mean, honestly, when I saw that pick, I was like, man, I'm excited about getting this guy.
Because now he's going to go up against him in the NFC South.
As an offensive line guy, I'm like, man, I watched that guy's tape and I'm like, I got a half chub watching this guy's tape right now. So,
exactly. Yeah, I thought
Marpet,
I thought Mike Mayock would have to go change his pants, man.
Yeah, him and Marpet, man, those small school guys kind of got a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Coming in, I really like that.
Yeah, I wonder if he can play ukulele though. I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'm thinking it's going to be Sweezy on the left side, which, I mean,
he's back. He's still not cleared. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
He's still not cleared, and that makes
when
me
he's
nervous.
healthy, he's an above average
I think
above average guy there,
I think he got overrated when he played in Seattle because he was blocking for Marshawn Lynch. But you got to think when Marshawn Lynch, whether he ran into when he ran into a wall or not, he was still making plays. So of course the offensive line always looked better than it did.
Right. Well, it didn't help that Doug Martin didn't come back into his own his old form.
Yeah,
and
that's another thing.
The Bucs threw the ball a lot last year, and pass blocking is not J.R. Sweezy's forte.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's another point I wanted to get to. We're gonna get to Ronald Jones here in a second, but I wrote an article about the number 9. I don't know if you checked it out or not, but it's basically the top 9 teams that had, 9 out of the top 12 teams that made the playoffs had like a top 10 running game or something like that. And this is the balance. This is what I was talking about in balance. Our balance to pass rush, we were number 30. We were 37%. So we were only running the ball, or we were passing the ball way more than we were running it. And that needs to balance out, because in order for Jameis to be successful, to me, he starts off slow. He had a tendency to do that at Florida State. If we can get the running game going and get these easy, quick rhythm reads and quick rhythm passes going, I think that's the key to our offense.
And part of that has to do with the secondary being so trash last year too.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're down, you got to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think
also,
definitely with playoff teams,
it does go hand in hand.
It's common. Playoff teams have a good run game, and they have a good pass defense. That's 2 cornerstones of playoff teams most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we'll definitely see those two.
Well, that's also a good point. And then you look at some stuff like this, and it's kind of mind blowing because as good as this offense was, and as good as it could have been, in the first quarter we're scoring 4.5 points in the first quarter. It's a little bit over a field goal. So the Rams are scoring 7. Second quarter, Tampa Bay scoring 4 points. That's second to last. New England is scoring 11.4. That's the highest. The third quarter, Tampa Bay scoring 3.6. The Rams are scoring 7. Now in the fourth quarter, whenever we pretty much have to come back, and we're always getting these garbage yards and points, we're scoring 8.9 points a game as number 1 in the league in the fourth quarter. That's an indictment on that's balance. That's the defense. That's the offense not be able to get going. And that's just one of the things why Jason went into this offseason and he improved the offensive line. He improved the defensive line. He made picks to fill needs in the draft. And how do you feel about that? Do you think this is pretty much the year that Dirk Cutter has to use all of this talent and put it together?
Oh, yeah.
I think both are out of there.
Oh yeah, Cutter's definitely got to put it together. They have, to me, if they don't either make the playoffs or win 10 games, and Cutter's gone.
And in the NFC, 10 games might not even be enough to make the playoffs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So your best chance is winning your division.
If they win 10 games and don't make the playoffs, he could possibly keep his job, but it's gonna be close because they have drafted a franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Which a lot of people are already ready to give up on.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And that really hinders a franchise quarterback if he switches coaches, every couple of years.
Oh yeah.
So Cutter's got to do what he's got to do to win games now and get to the playoffs, because if he don't, he's not going to be coaching this team much longer.
Yeah, and you can't give all the blame to Dirk Cutter, but last year, I mean, even as a fan, I was saying it throughout the year, our offense was very predictable. I mean, I could name on my hand 5 plays that we were going to run almost every single drive. And I don't know if it was the lack of it was the offensive line, or the lack of balance, or whatever it was. It kind of reminded me of the Jimbo Fisher, E.J. Manuel offense the first year. It was like run up the middle, halfback toss. It was like,
yeah,
it just drove you crazy, man.
So third down, draw.
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm. Third and 8. Oh yeah, draw. Yeah. So there you go.
I think they're going to put it together this year. I mean, I do. I don't see them, going out and winning 13 games.
No.
But I think
10
and 6 is doable.
Yeah.
10 and 6 is definitely doable.
And 10 and 6 probably keep your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get some production out of the run game.
Just get the arrow pointing upwards, dude. Just get it pointing upwards. That's all we need.
If the secondary can at least bend but don't break,
That reminds me of Lovie Smith.
Win some games. Yeah.
So, anyways, let's get to talking about Peyton Barber a little bit. You know, our running backfield. You know, you got Ronald Jones now, and you got Peyton Barber, which I still think, and I'm still saying it to this day, I think if Peyton Barber would have got his chance in the beginning of the season, because whenever he was playing,
he was our best running back last year.
Whenever he was playing behind all of our injured offensive linemen. He was playing behind Leonard Wester and Caleb Beninock, and you know, Ali Marpet was hurt, and DeMar Dotson was hurt. The only person that was consistent was Donovan Smith. But I mean, if he would have played the beginning of the year, I think we would have had so much more balance, and the season would have went a lot better.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, you understand trying to give Doug Martin a chance.
Yeah.
You know, trying to see what he's got left, you know, to possibly re-sign him.
Mm-hmm.
But he was done. Man.
Yeah, he was.
He couldn't do anything. I don't know what happened to him, but he just wasn't going to produce. And Peyton Barber, when he was in there, and even Jaquiz Rogers at times, you know, looked good in the offense. They ran tough. But Rogers kind of get to the backside of his career.
Yeah. And then Charles Sims, he's like, you know, kind of twinkle toes.
When is he not hurt?
Yeah. But the thing when Charles Sims is on the field, you know what's fixing to happen. You know what I mean?
They're throwing the ball.
Yeah, he's not. He's not running it up the middle on you. No. But we're gonna get to Ronald Jones here. So the Bucs haven't had a real home run hitter with speed since Cadillac.
Yeah, and even Cadillac, you know, he definitely had speed. He made some big runs, but he was a workhorse.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, they ran him into the ground.
Yeah, John Gruden basically gave him 2 years worth of touches in his first year.
Yeah.
But you know, Ronald Jones, this is last year's stats. 261 carries, 1,500 yards, 19 touchdowns, 14 catches, 187 yards, and he had 1 touchdown. Now, I went back and watched pretty much every game that he had on draftbreakdown.com, and to me, I'm seeing Alvin Kamara. I mean, he's underrated strong, he's underrated explosive, and a lot of people say he makes his money off going east and west. But I've seen a lot of runs where he's running north and south, and he's keeping his legs moving, and he's getting those tough yards.
Yeah. I definitely. I like the Ronald Jones pick. I really do. He's got speed. You know, he's a guy that can catch out of the backfield. He's going to get you those tough yards. But I was really hoping that, you know, they would make another addition to the running back position.
Yeah, I really wanted Akram Wadley or someone later on in the round.
Surprised me he didn't get drafted.
Me too. It really did. But people were this one guy was talking to me on Twitter. He was like, "We got Ronald Jones, Peyton Barber, Jaquiz Rogers, and Charles Sims, and you want to draft another running back?" I was like, "Yeah, man, because if Ronald Jones goes down, we're back in the same position we were, and
Exactly.
I mean, back to the same predictable offense.
Exactly.
I mean, I would at least like to let Akram Wadley come in, or you know, insert whatever name.
Injuries happen, man.
Dude.
You need 2 solid running backs.
Capable. Yeah.
You know, if you look at pretty much just about every NFL team except for Patriots, because their offense is a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a machine.
You got 2 running backs that are splitting carries, essentially. Pretty much no team has one guy.
You want that Tevin Coleman, Devontae Freeman type offense where whichever running back comes in, there's no drop off.
Coleman, Freeman.
Yeah.
Saints got Kamara, Ingram.
Yeah.
I mean, not as much with the Panthers, but Cam Newton's essentially running back too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, across the league, if you play fantasy football, you know
unless you got Adrian Peterson or Ezekiel Elliott, and you're
not
finna
anymore, but
you're finna run them into the ground and, you know, give them an 8-year career, then
yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think Peyton Barber can kind of fill that role for the time being.
He deserves his touches though.
Yeah,
he did, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even have had a 100-yard rusher last year. We had one game over 100 yards. One game. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know that you can't win games like that.
No, one game over 100 yards, and those yards were tough yards too. So let's see what we got here. So what did you think whenever they brought Mike Smith back last year? I know we had that 5-game winning streak, and the players turned it around, and And then we came into this year, and it was like, okay, Mike Smith's back, and everybody's so excited. And you see how it turns out. Like, what do you think about Mike Smith as a defensive coach?
I like him. I like Mike Smith. I think we'll see a good improvement in the defense this year.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I mean, if you just look at the injuries we had and what he had to work with last year, it was just like, I mean, I don't know if anybody could have succeeded with our linebackers going down. First, he had to deal with Quan Alexander's suspension.
And Levante a little bit.
And then Levante, he had his injuries. Those are two really key guys, for the defense. And our depth at linebacker isn't really great. So missing those two guys, and then secondary being what it was, I mean, Chris Conte will make any defense coordinator look bad. So.
Oh man, Chris Conte. Yeah, a lot of people are saying, I was kind of pulling for Keith Tandy, man. I was like, he pretty much essentially won us 2 games last year. I was like, just give him a chance, and I don't know, maybe, obviously they know more than we do, but it might have been just a feel good story for the season. But I was like, man, I would do anything to just not have Chris Conte do. I swear to God, he bites on everything. He bites on every single play. Doesn't matter.
And he plays the run. Plays the run good.
Yeah, he does.
Because he plays the run every play.
Well, he knows how to play Jay Cutler really well. I mean, if ever we're playing Jay Cutler, that's when we need to have Chris Conte on the field.
Hopefully we never see Jay Cutler starting at quarterback for anybody in the NFL ever again.
I don't know how I'm gonna like him as an analyst. By the way, he's just such a bland personality. I don't even like. I don't know, just the way he talks. It doesn't seem like.
The guys that work with him probably don't really like him either.
No.
Kind of a douchebag.
Yeah, he is kind of a douchebag. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, this is another thing I want to bring up. So, the Jameis suspension. We don't know what's going to happen. The league isn't talking to Dirk Cutter and Jason Light. They basically keep saying like, "Oh, it's a process. It's a process. Trust the thing." And it's like, well, it's a dark cloud just hanging over the whole organization, and it's like, I don't think he's going to get suspended for 4 games because the girl isn't even cooperating. First of all, she reported it. She reported it herself. Jameis knew about it. This was in 2016, and he didn't report it to the Bucs, which that was his first mistake. So it's kind of like, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And I think if he does get suspended, the only reason he's going to get suspended is not because he did rope this female driver, which, of course, Ronald Darby was there, of course, which he was there the last time Jameis was in a sexual allegation. So that also looks bad in itself. But, of course, Ronald Darby's sticking up for his friend.
Witness is a witness.
Yeah, witness is a witness, yeah. Yeah, witness is a witness. It's like, man, you're always here when this dude gets in trouble. It's kind of strange.
He's a real MVP.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, if he does get suspended, I think it'll be for either maybe 1 or 2 games, and only because he didn't report it. Because that's just the way Roger Goodell is. They could find nothing wrong. They could find him completely innocent. But the fact that he didn't report it is probably going to be what he gets in trouble for.
If he does get suspended, I feel like it's more only because to not attract negative media attention.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's kind of an overreaction. Because if you don't have any physical evidence, you have a witness, basically he's innocent until proven guilty.
It's like he say, she say. It's like, okay, you got 2 people against her. But then
it's kind of like the same thing that happened at Florida State. I mean, the dark cloud lingered for a while, and then nothing came about.
And then what do you know? She ends up getting paid.
Right. Which, honestly, when I first heard about this, that's the first thing you assume.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, you see Jameis Winston in your back seat, and dollar signs lighting up in your eyes.
You got to think, man. When you're a celebrity, you put yourself in all kinds of positions, and there's people out in this world that really have nothing to do, or they're down on their luck or whatever, and they will pin you to the wall and try to frame you for something. You look at like Kobe Bryant, you look at Big Ben, like obviously these guys they're not going to go out of the way to rape women or something like that. Like they're superstars. They can get anybody they want. You're telling me, I don't know. Some of the stuff just doesn't add up.
Yeah, it's
not
like
sometimes it's just an assassination of character.
Yeah, and if you look at Jameis Winston's girlfriend, it's not like he's hurting for attention.
Yeah, and I want to know what she thinks about all this. I really do just want to, like, you never really hear her bring up anything like
Yeah.
You know,
seeing as how she's been stuck by his side through everything. You know, she's a real ride or die that you got there.
The one thing I can say about Jameis, and people will never forget that he steals crab legs. He didn't steal crab legs. It was a hookup. I don't know if you've ever been to Tallahassee before, anybody that's listening, but if you're a Florida State player there, you're not paying for anything. I mean, you're not supposed to. But newsflash, you're not paying for
pretty
nothing.
much common around the country. You're a star college player in your college hometown, you're probably going to get offered some stuff for free.
I mean, a backup offensive lineman probably won't get free crab legs, but the quarterback of Florida State probably will.
You want to tell me these Alabama players ain't getting something for free?
Oh, them Alabama players are getting free essays written for them, probably getting drug tests.
And trust me, it happens. I mean, I didn't play college football at a big time Division I program, but it happens at just about every level. I mean, I talked to a lot of the guys that play different places around the country, and even the smaller schools, Wake Forest, FIU. These guys, they're getting the hookup on their tutoring. If that's what you want to call it.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, if you don't think none of this stuff goes on,
you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like Reggie Bush had to give up his Heisman because he received his parents received gifts or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like, come on, if we're doing that, then everybody turn in their Heismans.
Right.
You know what I mean? Come on, that was ridiculous. That was just ridiculous. Let's see what we got going on here. Well, man, I don't know about you, but I think I might do it for today's show. We'll get back on to some more stuff. Oh, actually, you know what? I want to talk about something. Let's talk about Florida State for a second.
All right. Actually, before that, let's talk about a couple of these other draft picks. I just want to touch on that wide receiver from Penn.
Oh, Justin Watson. He's of course he gets the Jordy Nelson comparison because he's white and he's fast. But come on, he's better than that.
Yeah. I mean, he's not Jordy Nelson.
No.
I'm gonna come out and say that he's not Jordy Nelson.
No.
And even if he was, Aaron Rodgers ain't walking through that door. No, I mean, I love James.
No, exactly,
Rodgers.
So, but arguably the most talented quarterback.
For a 6th round pick, Justin Watson is a lot of people aren't going to know his name because he played in an Ivy League school, played at Penn. I mean, he's number 1 in receptions at Penn, 286. Number 1 in receiving yards at Penn, 3,777. Number 1 in receiving touchdowns.
That's a lot of production.
At Penn, 33 touchdowns. Number 1 in all-purpose yards, 4,116. So, I mean, the guy is putting points up on the board. This guy had 19 100-yard games as a receiver in his career. 2-time finalist for the Walter Payton Award as an FCS Offensive Player of the Year. That's kind of like the Heisman Trophy for the FCS.
Oh yeah.
2-time finalist for the FCS Doris Robinson Award as Student Athlete of the Year. Well, he goes to Penn, so he's obviously
exactly.
really smart.
Really smart, yeah.
I mean, multiple-time All-American.
So if the football career don't work out, obviously he's going to have a job somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is smart. I mean, he played at a small school, but I think he's not really a slot guy. He's not your typical, white wide receiver. He's not Adam Humphries.
No, you think about the white guys, it's the Wes Welker, the Cole Beasley,
right.
Adam Humphries. And I don't get me wrong, I love Adam Humphries, but it's limited to what he can do. Now he does make his money getting into space, catching the tough balls over the middle.
To me, this guy reminds me of, watching his tape, he kind of reminds me of Joe Jurevicius.
Oh yeah.
He's got some sticky hands.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really fast, but he can be kind of deceptively fast.
People get fast and quick kind of confused. Quick is more what I would want to have. If say you run like a 4.6, whatever. If you're more quick than you are fast, I'd rather have that than you just be big and 50-50 ball guy.
Yeah,
where does he fit in the rotation?
To me, I mean,
I think Chris Godwin's the guy when Deshaun Jackson's gone.
Oh yeah. Chris Godwin's the guy. I mean, Godwin's filled that slot role a little bit with them too.
Right.
To me, Adam Humphries is kind of like he's losing a little bit of PT
touches
here. He's losing touches.
Yeah, he basically got his spot because of Kenny Bell. Kenny Bell being so bad, he was a preseason All-American. or a training camp All-American, training camp Hall of Famer. But
Yeah, I
when
was
it
really
came,
pulling for
yeah,
Kenny Bell,
when it
man.
came to
I liked
preseason, yeah.
But
But see, Justin Watson, you got to think like, how tall is he? He was like, he's above 6 foot, right?
He's about 6'1", 6'2".
6'1", 6'2". So he's more of an outside guy.
Yeah, he's not short. He runs at his pro day. There were some scouts that clocked him at a 4.35, 4.4 in that range. So the guy,
Speed.
he's got some speed. He did 20 reps at 225. He's got the athleticism.
That's not bad, man.
So I think this is a really underrated pick, honestly. I'm really interested to see that guy play.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is so Jamison's first year, his deep ball wasn't great. I mean, he wasn't connecting with Mike Evans mostly. It was what was the guy's name? What was the dude we had, the dreads? I can't remember his name now. He was a smaller school guy from I think it was Bowling Green. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, well the listeners will know.
Can't remember his name, but he's like the 5 or 6 wide receiver.
Yeah. So anyway,
roster.
Jameson's deep ball was not good his first year. He couldn't connect with Mike Evans deep. But the second year, he connected a lot more. And then what happens? He gets to Sean Jackson with that speed. He isn't connecting. He's not far off, but it's just not connecting. Now the second year, I expect to make the similar kind of jump. But the thing that makes me mad is Deshaun Jackson isn't just a deep threat. If you get the ball just in his hand on slants or drags,
to me,
however you want.
Dirk Cutter's got to find different ways to get.
Yes, he's got to find a way to get him involved.
He can't just be a fly route guy.
And also don't pull the diva out of him either. You just have him going flies every time, and he's not getting the ball. That's the best way to piss a guy like him off.
Oh yeah. You could definitely tell his attitude at certain points last year, and just.
But he wasn't fighting for balls neither. If they weren't right on the money, he pretty much, because I was watching the All-22, the Detroit Lions game. He
Sean
went
Jackson,
out.
you gotta take the good with the bad. That's just
Oh
part
yeah,
of Sean Jackson.
Yeah. He's not going to do the Chris Godwin. If the ball's right on the money, he's going to adjust to it. He wants it there, and he wants it in stride.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, moving on to Florida State. What are you expecting out of them this year?
Honestly, I'm not a fan of the quick, fast spread offense. So it's going to take me getting used to, because I'm more of a fan of a pro style offense. That's just what I like more. Spreads seem kind of gimmicky to me, but I mean, it doesn't matter how I feel. If the wins start coming, I'm not going to care what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on that. I'm a traditional pro style type guy, but in recent years, I've kind of, been trending more towards the spread, because if you look around college football,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. That's what everybody's running.
Alabama even went to it.
Oh yeah, Alabama. They had them first couple years winning the national championships, just depending on their run game, when they had A.J. McCarron and the heck was that other guy's name?
Coker.
Even before A.J. McCarron, the guy got drafted by the Jets.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're talking about Greg McElroy.
McElroy, yeah, and even the guy before him. I don't know. They all had the same haircut.
Yeah, they did.
But it's no longer running up the middle. And
Well, if it wasn't for Lane Kiffin, I don't think Alabama ever would have changed from what they did.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Lane.
Absolutely. Yeah, he brought that style to them, and if it wasn't for him, Jalen Hurts, wouldn't have did what he did.
No. Yeah, exactly.
So,
You can definitely tell that him being gone, Jalen Hurts pretty much made it to the championship on. Yeah.
pretty much
With his
just
defense.
making it with his legs and that defense.
Yeah. Just make a throw here and there.
I think, I'm excited to see the offense because of the way that the offense, the talent that we have, especially at running back.
Oh yeah.
Taggart runs that offense, but it's not the Chip Kelly version of that offense.
No.
He runs
It's
the
vertical.
ball
It's
a
vertical.
lot.
It's vertical.
He runs it vertical a lot. When they line up on the field, those receivers are going to be way outside the hash. Like, it's spread out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to run the ball, especially with running backs like Cam Akers, Jarquez Patrick.
Oh man, I can't wait.
LeBourne.
I can't wait. Yeah, Kalen Lavery. You see that spring game? Oh.
They are going to get the ball a lot, and all three of those guys are going to carry the ball.
I'm ready for some trickery too, man.
Oh,
Jimbo Fisher just. At some point, it just got stale. I think the message just got stale to the players, or maybe he had his mind made up at the beginning of the year what he was going to do.
Yeah. I've heard a couple of different couple different stories with people that are kind of, close to the Tallahassee area on, how the players felt, and just Jimbo just kind of seemed a little bit disconnected after that Alabama game. But
yeah, once DeAndre went down, I think he was like, man, I can't do it.
Jimbo is a good coach, but for one, his ego is just too big.
Oh yeah.
Like some of the stories
he always wanted more.
Oh, he always wanted more. And Jimbo thinks that he's Nick Saban.
Yeah.
He's not.
He's not. No.
And he did recruit some really good quarterbacks. He has a track record of putting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, even if they do get overdrafted, but
right, even if they do get overdrafted.
But he does make them look good in college. Yeah.
Yeah. But what quarterback wants to get screamed at every single time they come off the field? I think Jimbo. I got to a point where, as long as they were winning, the message was all right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. But when you start losing games like that, you kind of get tired of getting screamed at.
It's hard to rattle Jameis, but I do remember 2 or 3 times, during the year when him and Jameis were screaming at each other.
And let's be real, if Jameis isn't on that team in 2014, they probably would have had a season really similar to this past one.
This year.
Probably even lost more games.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking probably like 4-8 if Jameis isn't on that team.
Well, I think the thing, man, James Blackman at the beginning of the year, you could tell that he was a deer in headlights. He was not, he was not ready. He was not ready for the spotlight, big program, and on top of that, I'm not saying DeAndre is the best quarterback in the world, but there's certain things that he did that Jimbo tried to make James do, and that's just not his game. And he's not tailoring. Like, he pretty much already had his mind on how the season was going to go, and this is the kind of offense I'm going to run.
Jimbo is that guy that doesn't want to
run my system.
Run my system.
Yeah.
He wants you to. He's trying to force a square peg into the circle, into the round hole.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No matter what, he's just gonna say, "Yeah, it's his way or the highway. You gotta do it that way."
Now, what I do like about Willie Taggart is his recruiting style. He's very, very much a player's coach, and that can really go either way. People say player's coach. Sometimes that means he can be really relaxed and maybe he's not a disciplinary, or it could go the other way, and as long as the offense as long as they're winning, it's not going to really matter if he's a player's coach or not. So that's gonna obviously time will tell with that. But the thing I do love about him is his recruiting style.
Yeah, there's one thing that I'll never forget that Bobby Bowden said. It's not always about the X's and the O's. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes.
Jimmies and Joes, I like that.
It's about the players you got on the field.
That is a Bowdenism.
A lot of some games don't come down to the X's and O's. If your players are just better than the other guys in the field, you're gonna win the game.
I also love his famous if they can't score, they can't win.
Yeah.
It's obvious, but it makes so much sense.
Right. And I'm not saying Saban is
it's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Saban is going to go down as possibly the greatest college football coach of all time.
Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
He has a top recruiting class almost every year. They have the best players on the field,
and
that's
that doesn't even mean that the players are going to translate well to the NFL, because a lot of Alabama players don't pan out. A lot of them don't, and you would think that they would, because it's all 5-star, 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 5-star. But it's how he runs his program and how he's been able to adapt. And if Jimbo doesn't start taking that approach, then he's never going to reach stadium status.
Yeah, part of and Jimbo's a great recruiter. Don't get me wrong. He had some great classes.
Oh yeah, definitely. If it wasn't for his 2009, 2010 class, they probably wouldn't have won a championship.
You go back and look at the last couple classes. 2015 recruiting class was kind of the downfall of Jimbo. As far as last year is concerned, because they missed on the offensive line a couple years.
Right.
They got one lineman.
One lineman, dude. Oh my God.
Some two JUCO guys that didn't pan out, never ended up playing meaningful snaps.
What is our offensive lineman? Everly? What
Everly?
Oh,
center.
Man. Oh, man.
Oh yeah, he was bad. Last year, towards the end of the year last year, he really kind of looked like a different player.
Yeah.
And I think he got forced into action too early.
Yeah, he did.
He wasn't ready physically, and he got dominated for a while.
Yeah, it was probably getting over the mental part of coming out bad. That's probably a lot to get over. I couldn't put myself in that position, but so I can't really judge him too much. But oh man,
he looked like he's gotten stronger. Because a lot of times he was just getting bowled over. Like he's getting out strength, and there was just nothing he could do about it.
Yeah.
But the offensive line is a big question mark this year. They got some talent. Looking for Bavion Johnson, the homegrown Lake Gibson product, to get in that starting lineup this year. But it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. Had a couple transfers. Andrew Baselli, Tony Baselli's son, transferred out, so he's no longer with the team. They had, last couple of years they've just been plagued by medical DQs.
Yeah,
like
for
they
real.
had one Ethan Frith this offseason and a couple other guys from that 2015 recruiting class.
Yeah,
medically disqualified, never ended up contributing to the team.
Nope.
So, I like Taggart. I like his attitude. I like where he's got the team going. So, I'm excited for the season to start.
I'm actually excited. I'm actually excited for the Florida Gators because they actually have a quarterback now, Emory Jones. Have you watched any of him?
I have watched their spring game.
I think this dude legit could be a really good player, and I'm not saying I'm happy for them because I want them to win. I'm saying I want it to be a game whenever we play them now. You know what I mean?
He's a Dan Mullen style quarterback.
But you know who I'm scared of is this Trevor Lawrence kid from Clemson. This guy right here is making me think, and then you add in Trevor Lawrence. Obviously maybe he'll light the college world on fire. Maybe he won't. But either way, he's going to be a star either this year or next year. And then you add in their defensive line they have. Oh my God,
yeah,
they're a force to be reckoned with.
Clemson's going to be an animal again this year.
They have 40 linemen that could probably go in the top 20 next year.
Luckily, we get them at home this year, which is going to be huge.
Yes.
Home, which I don't mind. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback prospect, but
he hasn't stepped on the field yet.
True freshman playing on the road in Tallahassee.
Unless you're
chances.
Unless you're Jameis Winston going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'll take my chances with that one. So,
I'll roll the dice on that one.
Florida State needs to beat Clemson this year. They've lost to him 3 years in a row. They haven't been to a conference championship in 3 years, and they got to get back to it.
Oh yeah, dude.
So absolutely have to beat Clemson. Almost, I mean, don't get me wrong, you never want to lose to Florida or Miami, but the Clemson win this year is critical.
Yes.
Like, I would almost rather beat Clemson. I don't want to say that because that's sacrilegious, but I would almost rather beat Clemson because you have. I always say
that I don't care if we win a single game as long as you beat Miami and Florida. But now it's gotten to the point where it's like, I'm not even worried about them. We need to knock Clemson off.
Absolutely.
Just because they've took our top spot.
Yeah.
For years they had their catchphrase. They would Clemson. They were Clemsoning. Yeah, Clemsoning.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Dabo
Every single time they would get a
big games.
4th or 5th ranked, and they would just have a blowout game. James's game where I think they were number 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
He came in and just quiet at the Tiger Stadium. That was
as much anger as I have towards Clemson the past couple years.
You gotta respect Dabo.
Dabo is that dude.
Yes, he is.
Dabo is.
He fights for his players on the sideline too.
He has all the qualities that Bowden had as a young coach at Florida State.
Well, didn't Tommy Bowden coach there for a while too?
He did. Yep. Tommy Bowden was a very good coach there. Beat Bobby.
I wonder how much the guy gets paid to hold Dabo's belt loops whenever Dabo's yelling at the ref. Because that dude's always behind Dabo. If you watch the game,
does he get paid more than Charles Kelly's belt holder?
I don't know. Charles Kelly needed to be giving Kelly needed to be giving that guy some of his money because what he was doing sometimes.
Well, that guy got fired too. So.
Yep. Yeah, it's a whole new slate, starting fresh, man.
Yeah, and I like after how last year went, you got to start new.
So let's talk about the draft here for a minute since we're already started sitting here going. What was like your surprise pick in the first round? Me obviously it was the Davenport. They gave up this year. Well, they used this year's pick and they gave up the first next year, but also Rashad Penny to Seattle.
Oh, that was huge. Like, what?
Yeah, dude. Do they hate Russell Wilson? Do they want him to run for his life forever? He's got to be exhausted. As a matter of fact, I think he's still running from when they played the Bucs.
The thing is, the thing about that pick is, I mean, I like him. I like Penny, but he would have been there
in the second or third round. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
But Davenport, mainly because of what they gave up for him, it's just like you're going to give up a first-round pick to. I mean, they need a pass rusher.
What about the Denzel Ward to Cleveland?
Denzel
that
Ward
really made me think that we could get one of the big three.
Denzel Ward, kind of surprised me, but it didn't surprise me because it's the Browns.
Yeah. Well, that's everybody's response when I ask that question is like, oh, it's the Browns. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really.
But they could have had Bradley Chubb with.
Oh, I thought they were going with Chubb.
They could have had.
Chubb
They could have had Chubb and they could have had Myles Garrett. Now a lot of people say they like Emmanuel Ogbah, and he was. I heard. I was listening to a podcast. They were saying Ogbah was like 1 or 2 steps away from the quarterback almost every single play, and that's fine. But I mean, still, you draft Bradley Chubb and you get a rotation going. You know what I mean? You don't got to have them guys going 100 miles an hour every single play. Have the guy fresh in the first quarter or the fourth quarter.
To me, the biggest surprise is Leighton Vander Esch to Dallas.
Well, they got Jalen
19
Smith.
overall.
Jalen Smith. What happened? What's wrong with him?
That was the ultimate. Like you're watching the draft, but you get up to make something to eat, and they say his name, and you're like, huh?
Yeah. Like, wait a minute. Is this the guy they're talking about? It's kind of a
because you're
kind
thinking,
of a project
okay,
linebacker.
You're looking at Dallas's draft and their needs, and Calvin Ridley's still there. They just released Des Bryant. They don't have any receivers, and you're like, dang, they're going to draft Calvin Ridley, and then they're like, Leighton Vander Esch,
and they had all the famous wide receivers come on to announce the pick. What do you think, guys? We need a wide receiver. It's like, nope, we're going to take a linebacker.
After actually looking into that guy, I mean, if you don't live in Idaho or a Boise State fan, you probably don't know anything about him.
No.
But
no.
He seems like he'd actually be a solid linebacker.
I think I honestly.
Another one was Derwin James falling to 17. That really surprised me.
Yeah, definitely. What is up with John Gruden? I mean, a lot of people had the Cole Miller pick. They were like, this dude's gonna get overdrafted, crazy, and they were saying that all the way up to the draft. And then he goes to Oakland. And then you take the Maurice Hurst kid who has the heart issue, which a lot of people were saying that that's kind of a messed up thing for the Raiders to do because this kid could literally die on the field. The doctor said he's cleared to play, but a lot of people have a problem with it. And then he took Arden Key, who has major character concerns. On top of that, you take 30-year-old Doug Martin, who hasn't played a full season in 3 years. Plus, whenever he was here, you don't have to be connected to the organization to know that he went out and partied too much. Then he starts cutting all these guys. He starts bringing in all these 30, 32-year-old guys. Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if he would to go for the Bucs? I mean, I think any player under 25 would have been shipped off.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I mean, if you think back, I don't got the names in front of me, but when he was the coach for the Bucs, there's a reason why he doesn't coach for the Bucs anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I like John Gruden. He won a Super Bowl in Tampa. You can't ever take that away from him. But as far as draft-wise, they didn't really draft real well when he was there.
No. Yeah, they could have took Aaron Rodgers, didn't.
A lot of the guys
could have took Deshaun Jackson, didn't.
A lot of the guys that were key contributors to their Super Bowl team, well, offensively at least, were free agent additions.
Yeah, exactly.
Or trade. I mean, they had the big Keyshawn Johnson trade, the Keenan McCardell.
Mm-hmm.
They picked him up. They got Brad. I mean, Brad Johnson wasn't like a star quarterback, but he played well for him that year.
Florida State guy.
Their defense was built on the draft before John Gruden got there.
Yep.
Defense was already there.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So they already had that set up and.
Well, John Gruden was always like, oh yeah, we love this guy. He's in our plans for the near future, and he'd be like, the next day is like such and such traded to this team. They'd be like, damn, I thought you.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what he said. No player was safe. If he didn't think you fit his thing, or his ego and your ego weren't matching, you were gone.
Yeah. I like John Gruden as an analyst. I mean, some of the
stuff
stuff
he's informative. Yeah,
some of the stuff about him kind of drives you nuts when he's like says every single guy is the best guy at what he does.
Mm-hmm. This guy's a football player.
Yeah. This guy is the best at what he does.
Like every guy
that
comes on the Gruden quarterback camp doesn't know whether we're going to talk about Spider Two-Eyed Banana.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, don't you think you could break up a different player now?
But when I saw that the Raiders hired him, I was just like,
for that price tag, I'm glad the Bucs didn't.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
you're essentially giving him full power of the team no matter what.
Yeah.
And I don't want that.
No,
I don't want the head coach.
Absolutely not.
Unless you're Bill Belichick, I don't want you having full power of the team.
And I mean, he's got it set up with, Carr at quarterback. I like him a lot. I think he'd be a good player. But you need a good general manager to make moves for John Gruden.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want John Gruden, the guy making the moves. You coach football. Don't worry about the personnel.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you have input.
Yeah,
but
let me get the talent.
there's a reason why he didn't last very many years after the Bucs won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they won the Super Bowl in his first year, so he didn't build that team.
No. Well,
Tony Dungy.
He basically,
Tony Dungy and Rich McKay built that team.
It's fine. It's fine to say that. I do agree with that to an extent. It's not fair. Like a lot of people say, especially people that don't really watch football. You know what I mean? They get they watch from afar and they be like, okay, that was Tony Dungy's team. It's like, yeah, it was Tony Dungy's team, and they couldn't never get over that hump as Tony Dungy's team. But when Gruden came, he took that team over the hump.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he put that offense in place.
Yeah. If you think that just because it's Tony Dungy's team, the only reason they won a Super Bowl, then you don't know football.
Right.
Because Sean McVay just took Jeff Fisher's team to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Basically turned them from the number one or the 32nd ranked offense to the number one ranked offense. Like nobody's ever had a jump like that before.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Gruden. Obviously he's a quarterback guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to put some. Obviously in this draft they drafted mostly linemen. He's trying to build up front.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to put together a formidable offense. I just think for the money,
yeah, I can't.
It was too much.
I can't wait to see. I want him to succeed because I like Gruden, but some of the stuff he's doing, if this isn't panning out and it's because of the moves he's making, that means that they either have to cut him and continue paying him for the next 7 or 8 years, or just stick with him and just see what they can do. Because I'd rather that it would have never happened in Tampa, and the Glazers were never going to pay that.
Oh no, absolutely
Never.
not. No,
No.
they're pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So they got a bigger operation going on.
Yeah,
overseas.
Manchester United. Yeah, they're worried about them.
They might hire somebody for that money to coach them, but not the Bucs.
No, definitely not.
Not the Bucs. You're looking at the wrong kind of football. But
huh? Grab it up. All right, man. Well, this is it for the 20th episode of the Buckball Podcast. We're gonna start doing a lot more. Me and you need to connect more, man. This is fun. It's so much easier to bounce your ideas off than try to talk by yourself, because really you got to keep yourself really, really busy.
Yeah.
But
I appreciate you letting me come on the show. I mean, I've been a listener of you for a while. And I just like to talk to people about the Bucs.
Mm-hmm. I like to talk to people that actually know the game of football, and you can actually keep a conversation going. It doesn't end up in a dead end. Some people that say they watch football, you talk to at like work and stuff like that, you can tell they just don't really.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I can't stand talking to people.
Yeah.
About
like,
football.
well, the Bucs just suck. It's like, okay, well, let me break down some stats
football
to you. It's like, oh, nobody cares about stats. Y'all just suck. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah. Oh, you're a Gator fan? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and walk away.
Yeah.
Well, all right, man. This is good, and see you guys later on. The episode should be posted tonight.